All right, friends, we are now looking at lesson 12. We are being asked to partition the interval into equal parts, label the fractions at 0 and 1, and plot the given fraction on the number line. Then complete the number bond to match. All right, so it looks to me like we are using a fraction of thirds. So we have our 0, we have our 1. So we're going to, again, have 1/3 about there, 2/3 about there. Remember, it's about your hops. So that's going to be 1/3, hopping again, 2/3, and then hopping again, 3/3. So for our number bond, we know that we want to make sure it matches. So we want to make sure that we have 1/3 here. And then once we're marking it here, we would have to go 2 more thirds over here, make a match equal to 1. Now, I know in the past you had a different one with a circle there, but in this case, it's telling us that we're marking 1/3, so you'd have to go 2 more jumps or 2 more hops to make that one whole. All right, so now we're looking at 5 pieces out of 6. So 5 pieces out of 6 plus 1 more piece out of 6 is going to make that whole, but we have to label our fractions here. So this is going to be 0 over 6. This is going to be 6 over 6, so we have to partition it into sixths. What do we know about sixths? Well, half of 6 is 3, so 3 out of 6 is going to go right dead smack there in the center. So we know that's going to be 3 pieces out of 6. So then if you backtrack, that's going to be 2 pieces out of 6, and that's going to be 1 piece out of 6. Then we have 4 pieces out of 6, and we have 5 pieces out of 6, and we can check our hops to make sure it's correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then to go from 5 out of 6, you'd add 1 more to get that whole there, okay? Again, adding these fractions are very simple when the denominators are the same, okay? We do not do anything with the denominators, we're only adding the numerators, okay? All right, so we are going to move on next to page 126. So page 126 is showing us that we need to partition our line into eighths. Okay, so this is going to be 0 out of 8. This is going to be 8 out of 8. Again, we know what's in between is going to be half, and half is the fraction is going to be 4 out of 8. And then we can backtrack from there to make 3 out of 8, and then 2 out of 8, and then 1 out of 8. And then, let's see here, 5 out of 8, 6 out of 8, 7 out of 8. And again, they were asking us to plot 6 over 8. And in order to get from 6 out of 8 to our full number 1, 8 out of 8, we would need 2 more hops. So 6 out of 8 plus 2 out of 8 is going to give us our whole number of 1. Okay? All right, so now we are going to show fractions that are equivalent to 0 and 1. We've already talked a little bit about this. You should know that any number that's 0 over any fraction is always going to be 0. So 0 over 3, 0 over 6, and 0 over 8. And any number over itself is going to equal 1 whole. So 3 pieces out of 3 pieces is 1 whole. 6 pieces out of 6 pieces is 1 whole. And 8 pieces out of 8 pieces is 1 whole. All right, so now we are going to go ahead and move on to our next task, which is page 127. This one is asking us to draw a number line that shows the interval from 0 to 1. All right, so we're going to draw a number line from 0 to 1. And it's asking us to partition the interval into equal parts and label the fractions at 0 and 1. Then plot the given fraction on the number line. Box the fractions that are equivalent to whole numbers. All right, so we're going to label that 1/2. And I'm going to box this, which would be 2 over 2, because it's equal to the whole number of 1. Okay, it asked us from 0 to 1. There are going to be times where we're asked to make it more than 1 whole. Okay, in that case, we would continue on, and we'll get to that lesson a little bit later. All right, so we want to try to make the one down here the same size as the one that we made at the top. And we're going to partition it into 4 parts, starting with 0, ending with 1 whole, knowing that this is going to be 0 over 4. This is going to be 4 over 4, so we're going to box that 1 whole, because we know that 4 over 4 is equal to 1 whole. Knowing that 2 out of 4 is equivalent, okay, to 1/2, we're going to match that up so it matches that other number line there. And then we're going to backtrack from there. So we will have 1 piece out of 4, 2 pieces, 1 piece out of 4, 2 pieces, 3 pieces out of 4, and that's where we're plotting that because it asked us to plot that. So we can plot a dot there, okay? Double check our hops, 1, 2, 3, 4, hopping 1, hopping 2, okay? All right. Next thing we're going to do is move on to our next question, which is a little bit more of a word problem. So we got to piece it apart to understand it. All right. That is saying Mr. Davis works out at the gym for an hour. After each 1/5 of an hour, Mr. Davis starts doing a different exercise. How many different exercises does Mr. Davis do during his 1 hour workout? Okay, so if he's doing 1/5 an activity every 1/5, then that's going to be 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, and 5/5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He should be able to do 5 because we're dividing it into fifths. At 2/5 hours, Mr. Davis starts using the treadmill. All right, so this is 2/5 of an hour. This is where he starts using the treadmill. Label the number line to show when Mr. Davis starts using the treadmill right here, okay? The star on the number line represents what fraction of Mr. Davis's workout. Again, we're looking at our hops. This is going to be 0 out of 5. This one is 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, and 5 out of 5, which equals that 1 whole hour. So the star on the number line represents 4/5. Okay, number 8. Jayla says the point on the number line represents 5/7 of the distance from 0 to 1. Do you agree with Jayla? All right, so let's see here. Let's count our hops to see if Jayla is correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I'm going to have to disagree with Jayla, my friends, because Jayla, I think, was counting the slashes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we know that's a no-no. It's not about the slashes. It's about the hops. So do I agree with Jayla? No, I do not. Okay. It's about the hops, not the dashes. There are 6 sections on this number line. The denominator is 6. The mark or dot is 5 out of 6, not 5 out of 7. Now that explains why. Remember, you have to explain your thinking. When you're taking Smarter Balanced or you're taking NWEA or any type of computerized test, the computer or the test people, they don't know that you understand what you're doing unless you actually type it or explain your thoughts. Okay? So we're going to pause there And we're going to go on to one thing in lesson 12 because there's not much there to do that. Okay? So I'm going to pause and I'm going to flip over my paper to page 129. There we go. So partition the interval into equal parts. Label the fractions at 0 and 1. Plot the given fraction on the number line, then complete the number bond to match. So this is going to be 0 over 3 because we know that our denominator is 3. Okay? This is going to be 3 out of 3 because that makes our whole. So now we have to partition it accordingly. So we want to make it so this is 1 out of 3, and this would then be 2 out of 3, and we're going to double check with our hops. 1, 2, 3. So if we are placing 2 out of 3 or 2/3 right there, how many hops do we need to get to 1 whole? 1/3. So 2/3 plus 1/3 is going to give us that 1 whole. In our next one, we have 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4, again, we are looking at dividing it into 4 parts. So we know that this is going to be 0 over 4. We know that this is going to be 4 over 4. We know that 2 pieces out of 4 is half. So that's going to give me my halfway to divide it well enough. This is going to be 1 piece out of 4. This is going to be 3 pieces out of 4. We're going to plot our dot right there. And then we're going to figure out that 3 pieces out of 4 plus 1 more hop out of 4 is going to give us 1 whole. Okay, and that is what we are looking for. Okay, now this next part of the lesson is going to require that we understand equivalent fractions. We've already talked quite a bit about equivalent fractions, but we have not actually shown our understanding through a visual model. And the visual model is what you're going to be expected to understand on NWEA and Smarter. It's a 3rd grade standard. So we are going to move on to page 131. And as you can see, you're looking there right here. We are simply now showing how we have 2 identical or congruent or equivalent. Okay, congruent means equal. Equivalent also means equal. These 2 rectangles that have been divided are congruent or equivalent to each other. So 1 piece out of 2 is going to be the same exact thing as 2 pieces, 0 out of 2 is the same as 0 over 4. 1 out of 2 is the same as 2 over 4. And 2 out of 2 is the same as 4 over 4. Okay? Now, don't let that confuse you. They're equivalent fractions, but you can see here that that 1/2 equals that 2 pieces out of 4, and that these 2 pieces together, 2 out of 2, was equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 4. And you're starting at 0. Any 0 over any number is going to be equal to 0 over any number. That's just the way it works. Okay? All right, moving on. We're looking at 1/2. 0 over 2 is going to, again, be equal to 0 over 8. Okay, this is just flat out 0. End of story. 1/2 right here is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 8. 2 out of 2, which is the entire thing, 2 pieces out of 2, is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces out of 8. All right, so we're going to move on to the next page. 132. Again, you're looking at equivalent fractions using a visual. This is a visual. They are equivalent or congruent in size. All right, 0 out of 2, easy peasy, pumpkin squeezy. 0 out of 6, 1/2 matches up right here with 1, 2, 3 out of 6. And 2 out of 2 is both of those combined equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 6. Okay? Know that that's equal to 0, and this is equal to 1 whole. Okay? Okay, looking at number 4 here, we've got 0 over 4 is equal to 0 over 8, because we know that that cancels out to be 0. You're starting at the starting point right here, right before you even count any fractions. 1 piece out of 4 matches up right there to 2 pieces out of 8. 2 pieces out of 4, which is 1, 2 pieces out of 4, matches up right there to 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces out of 8. 3 pieces out of 4, 1, 2, 3 pieces out of 4 is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces out of 8. And then 4 pieces out of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or the whole entire strip is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces out of 8, which again is equivalent to 1 whole. Okay? All right, moving right on along to the next page. And we have, again, more equivalent fractions showing our understanding through the pictorial method. This is pictorial. Pic, like in pictograph, pic, it shows a picture to help you understand. So 0 and 0, 0 out of 3 is equal to 0 over 6. Again, 1/3, that's 1/3 of that whole thing is equal to 2. 1, 2 out of 6. 2 pieces out of 3 is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces out of 6. And 3 pieces out of 3 is the whole thing, right? We know that's equal to 1, is going to be equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces out of 6. Okay, so moving on down here, they want us to now put those fractions on the number line. So we're taking our pictorial method here, and we're actually going to be labeling them, which is super easy. Look at that. Go down. We know that that is 1/3. We go down here. We know that that is 2/3. Okay, and again, it's about the hops. Okay, actually that doesn't match that exactly. Let me change that a little bit. That's weird. I think it would need to extend to like over a little bit, but to make you sort of understand that better, let's do it that way. Okay, so that's 2 pieces out of 3. We'll extend that so that it makes more sense. Okay, and then this is going to be 2 pieces out of 3, so that's 0 over 3. That's going to be 3 over 3. And again, just alter that on your paper so that it makes more sense, okay, in terms of what you're seeing there. And then we're going to do the sixths. Just mark it down here, right? 1 piece out of 6, 2 pieces out of 6. You can see they're equivalent on the number line there. 3 pieces out of 6 is going to be right here, which is half. So that would have been half on the number line, but there's nothing equal to thirds that's half. So 3 pieces out of 6. And then 4 pieces out of 6 is going to be equal to 2/3. And then over here, we'll have our 5 pieces out of 6. Okay? And keeping, oh, excuse me, this would be 5 pieces out of 6 and then 6 pieces out of 6. Okay? Nothing like the teacher making an error there. No problem. But again, our hops, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, 6/6. Okay, so again, we did have to extend that a little bit just to demonstrate understanding there. All right, so we've got, I think, one more that we're looking at here, and that is on page 134. Okay, on page 134. So let me grab that one, and we will get ourselves finished with this task. Flipping it over, actually. I thought it was somewhere else. No problem. Partition one number line into halves. Partition the other number line into sixths, and then label the fractions. Box the equivalent fractions. Remember, equivalent means equal. All right, so we want halves. So I'm going to say, okay, this right here is going to be half. All right, 1 hop, 2 hops. Now we're going to do it into sixths. We know that this is going to be 3 out of 6. So let's backtrack. 2 out of 6, 1 out of 6, 4 out of 6, 5 out of 6. This is 0 over 6. This is 6 over 6. This is 0 over 2, and this is 2 over 2. Now, don't forget to box the equivalent fractions. Okay, remember these are equivalent because they equal 0, and these are equivalent because they equal 1 whole. And then the fractions there in the center. All right? Moving on to number 8, and then we will stop. Number 8, partition one number line into thirds. Partition the other number line into sixths. Label the fractions and box the equivalent fractions. Okay, so we want thirds. So that means we're going to want 1/3, 2/3, 1 piece out of 3, 2 pieces out of 3, 0 over 3, 3 over 3. Checking our hops, 1, 2, 3. The other number line into sixths. All right, so 1 piece out of 6, 2 pieces out of 6, 3 pieces out of 6, 4 pieces out of 6, 5 pieces out of 6, and 6 over 6, 0 over 6. So our equivalent fractions, well, let's do our hops first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Equivalent fractions right there. They line up. 1/3 is equal to 2/6. 2/3 is equal to 4/6. 0 over 3 is the same thing as 0 over 6. And 3 over 3 is the same thing as 6 over 6. And we are finished, my friends, with math for today. If there is something that you don't understand, please make sure that you ask. I am here to help you. That's why they call me Mrs. Cobb, and I am your teacher.